How can I help you?
Hey man, my name's Ethan. I'm with DXP Realty. Did any of the neighbors mention I'd swing by today?
They haven't.
Cool. I'll be super quick. I'm sure you've seen me working with the neighbors down the road. Main reason I'm popping in today, we've gotten a ton of activity here in the neighborhood. Have you ever considered buying, selling, or investing in real estate?
Man, we've thought about it, but there's no inventory out there, so I don't know where we'd go if we sold our house.
No inventory. What kind of processes or websites have you been looking on?
We look on Zillow and Realtor.com a lot.
What kind of results have you been getting looking on these websites?
Yeah, there's just nothing out there.
I can completely understand that. Hey, what do you think you could do differently to potentially find a home if that's what everyone's doing?
I don't know.
Cool. And I know, are you guys currently working with an agent? I'm assuming you're not, knowing that you haven't yet found a home.
No, we're not working with an agent at this point.
Okay, cool. Well, here's what I do. I'm out here knocking on doors, creating inventory for the buyer clients that have aligned themselves to work with me. If we could go out and find your dream home, would you be willing to move in right now?
Yeah, potentially, but we've been looking for like 6 months, so I don't know how you're going to find something that we don't have currently on the market.
At 100%, and that's exactly why I'm here, and that's exactly what my job is to do, is to go find that perfect home for you. Ideally, what would you be looking for?
We just want a house with a 4-car garage and probably on at least 3/4 of an acre, about 6,000 square feet.
Okay, for sure. And I don't know, I'm a little stumped. You're so fast with the responses. I don't have any time to think.
So that's the key factor I want you to catch, Ethan, as we look at this. I'm fast with the responses, but what does that tell you?
That tells me that
who's doing all the talking,
controlling the conversation. I'm doing all the talking because you're
correct. And that's why you ran out of things to say, is because you're doing all the talking. As soon as I give you a quick response, you're like, ah, crap. Now where do I go? Right? We got to flip it around so that you're not doing the talking anymore and you can take the time to think of the questions. Okay. So I want to go through this with you, and then I'm gonna flip over and I'm gonna be the agent. Okay. Sure. So let me turn on this speaker here, link into Bluetooth. The big key factor is the person that is asking the questions wins, as long as the questions are long enough that the other party is doing all the talking.
Yeah.
Now, if they're not doing all the talking,
your questions aren't working.
You're toast. Yeah, you're going to run out. As soon as you run out of questions, guess what? I don't know what to say anymore. And so you say, well, here's my card.
Then end the conversation. Yeah.
It ends, right? So let's listen to this. Hey man, how's it going? How can I help you?
Hey man, my name's Ethan. I'm with DXP Realty. Did any of the neighbors mention I'd swing by today?
They haven't.
Cool. I'll be super quick. I'm sure you've seen me working with the neighbors down the road. Main reason I'm popping in today, we've gotten a ton of activity here in the neighborhood. Have you ever considered buying, selling, or investing in real estate?
Yeah, we've thought about it, but there's no inventory out there, so I don't know where. So tell me, what do you mean by there's a ton of activity in the neighborhood? Because even me as a real estate agent, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean for your clients? Because I promise you, they don't know what you're talking about. There's a ton of activity. What? People wanting to buy, sell. What are you thinking? Tell me where you're going there.
Primarily, that was just one of the scripts that we got from one of you.
Okay.
I don't know if it was you or there's a ton of activity. We've gotten a ton of activity from the neighbors. I think that's what the right script was. But primarily, it's just we've been doing business here in the neighborhood, and it's just bringing a point of validation that I am an expert in the field that does business in your neighborhood.
So I just say, hey, I've been working with a lot of the neighbors. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Don't use the word activity.
That's the right script. Yeah.
I've been working with a lot of the neighbors.
Okay.
There's not in a seller's market. You do not want to say, hey, I'm listing a lot of the neighbors' homes, because you're not. Right.
Yeah.
Unless you are, make sure you're mentioning. What I would say is there's a lot of people looking to buy in this neighborhood and
buy in the neighborhood. Yep.
And then hunt that listing down. And in a seller's market, you want to be looking for listings And then the objection you're going to have is where are they going to move to? So you got to know that right up front. Okay. So as far as activity, be careful where you're at, because right there, that could lose you the credibility for them to even want to continue on with the pitch. They can say,
Okay.
There's not activity going on in our neighborhood. What's this guy talking about? Let's keep going.
Where we'd go if we sold our house.
No inventory. What kind of processes or website have you been looking on?
We looked on Zillow or Realtor.com a lot.
What kind of results have you been getting?
There's just
looking
nothing
on
out
these
there.
websites?
Yeah, there's just nothing out there.
I can completely understand that. Hey, what do you think you could do differently to potentially find a home if that's what everyone's doing?
I don't know.
Okay, cool. Why did you ask that question? What could you be doing differently to find a home if you're not finding it on Realtor.com and Zillow? You dummy. Come on. What can you be doing?
Yeah.
What answer do you want them to answer?
That was kind of a first just instinct. What could I come up with? But the answer I would have gotten was either I don't know, which is 99% of people, or it would be higher. Like I don't know, find some.
And then where are you going to go
an
from
agent? You're stuck.
Okay.
And I got stuck.
So this is what I'm getting at. If you ask a question, you've got to know the answer to it.
Okay.
And if you know the answer, then you got to know what the next question is you're going to ask. Because just by firing out questions, that doesn't get you where you need to be. And you're seeing this because you ask a whole bunch of questions, but they didn't lead you to a close. They didn't lead you to them taking the next step to a close. So you've got to ask questions that you know what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, and where you're going to lead them to next. Right? So let's keep going.
Yeah.
And I know, are you guys currently working with an agent? I'm assuming you're not, knowing that you haven't yet found a home.
Okay, why that question?
I just had my training with Jeremy, and that was a question he used.
Okay. But in this
So
scenario,
kind of be like, you
let's
should
talk
use
about
an
it.
agent. Yeah.
So tell me why you're asking, hey, are you working with an agent?
No.
And then what do you expect them? What do you want to tell them at that point?
I want to get them to understand that maybe if they were to hire an agent, that could help them find the home that they're looking for.
Okay, but what do most agents do? Where are they going to find their inventory?
Nothing. Zillow, MLS.
MLS, right?
Yeah.
Which, if you're in a seller's market, is there a lot of homes on the market?
No.
So how is that going to overcome that problem? You're not far off, Ethan. I'm going to show you why here in just a minute. But you've got to have the information which you can guide them further through that process after you ask that question. That's why I'm pinning you down on these questions. I'm like, Ethan, why'd you ask that? Because I want to know what you're thinking. Because if you're not thinking through it far enough, you've got to get to where you're thinking through the steps before you ask the questions, because ultimately it's going to result in what happened every time. Every time this is going to happen to you until you figure out what direction you're going to take somebody. Let's keep listening.
No, we're not working with an agent at this point.
Here's what I do. I'm out here knocking on doors, creating inventory for the buyer clients that have in mind for the stuff to work with me. If we could go out and find your dream home, would you be willing to move in right now?
Yeah, potentially, but we've been looking for like 6 months. So I don't know how you're going to find something that we don't have currently on the market.
So you came in and said, hey, I'm different, right? But you did it in a telling way. Where you just came in and said, here's what I'm doing. I go out and knock doors to find inventory for my clients. But what happened? I didn't even remember you said that. And the reason I didn't remember you said that is because you didn't engage me enough to make me think through that process.
Okay. Would to make you kind of think that, what should I have asked? Like, what do you think that's going to do for you?
I'm going to go through that when I'm going to do the same pitch.
Okay. Same thing. Yeah. Okay.
And
cool.
I'm going to show you some of the different steps you could take to gauge them and help them understand why it's important to be able to find stuff in the right manner. Okay. And there's probably 5 or 6 questions you needed to ask prior to that to help them really engage in what you do and why it's different. Okay. And now you're thinking 5 or 6 questions. What in the crap are you going to ask? I'll show you. Here we go. Keep going.
100%. And that's exactly why I'm here. And that's exactly what my job is to do, is to go find that perfect home for you. Ideally, what would you be looking for?
We just want a house with a 4-car garage and probably at least 3/4 of it.
Okay, what's the last thing we should look for? Am I sold yet on buying a house? Have you overcome my objection?
You're of no inventory now.
Do I feel like right now is the best time for me to buy?
Probably not.
So you don't know because you haven't gotten to the meats and potatoes of why I'm wanting to move, right? Or what I think the market's going to do, or what I think interest rates are going to do, or what I think anything's going to happen. So at this point, always I wait till they are closed on finding out what they want to buy, right? Because if I'm not going to buy a house, Ethan, you haven't convinced me, you haven't helped me understand why I should buy a house, and then it's even doable for me. And then you ask me what I want to buy. Am I really going to feel like it's even of value to speak the words to say, oh, I want a 4-car garage and 6,000 square feet and this, that, and the other?
Not at all.
Why?
Because I haven't even overcame the original objection, or I don't even know
still
your
believe that
motivation.
I can't buy.
Yeah.
So
So
what
why
value is it for me to tell you, hey, I want to buy this house? I still believe I can't buy.
Yep.
So now let's
So
flip this.
there's no reason to have that conversation right there
Correct.
at that point.
And right there's the end of your pitch because you don't know where to go from there.
Yep. That's what I
Right?
was
Because
done.
now you've used up everything you've got to get to that point. You're like, oh crap, now what do I say? What do I do? Okay, let's flip this around. Ready?
Sure.
Hey, I'm Dwayne, Prime Real Estate Experts. Did your neighbor say he was going to stop by and see you today?
No, I haven't heard anything. What can I do for you?
Well, the main reason I'm here is there are tons of people looking to buy in your neighborhood and there's nothing for sale. How long have you guys lived here?
5 years.
So you can see it's an awesome neighborhood, right?
Yeah, we loved it here, but
Have
we
you
do
guys
like
ever
it here.
considered selling your home?
Yeah, we thought about moving, but there's nothing available.
Okay. What was the main reason you guys have thought about moving?
Kids growing up. We could upsize, but it doesn't seem like now's a good time.
Okay. And what part of it doesn't feel like it's a good time for you?
Just the fact we can't find anything.
Inventory wise?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The inventory has been pretty short. Are you familiar with how many homes are coming on and off the market?
No, not too familiar.
The reason I ask that is a lot of people look at this and they go, oh my gosh, there is no inventory. But what they don't realize is homes are coming on the market and then how fast are they selling?
Over a weekend.
Super, super fast. So there's tons of inventory hitting the market, but it doesn't stay on the market very long. So you have to be pretty aggressive and pretty quick on getting into homes that you want to see because they sell very, very quickly. Where have you been looking at homes?
Kind of just, we want to stay in the area, but we just want to get out of the townhome. But within 1/4 mile or 5 mile radius.
And I mean, what I was meaning by that question is where have you been looking on websites when you're saying there's not a lot of inventory out there?
Oh yeah, we've been Zillow, Realtor.com, usual.
Okay. How much do you know about Realtor.com and Zillow?
Not much other than that's where the homes are.
So Realtor.com and Zillow are both lead sources. So they sell leads to agents. So oftentimes there's even houses that have been on there for 5 years that have already sold and they're still there. Now, that still doesn't change the fact that there's not a lot of inventory. There's 2,375 homes on the market today in New Jersey. But the key factor is to get into the right house, you got to be pretty quick on the draw. How many agents have you ever seen knock on your door?
You're the first.
Cool. So why do you think I'm out banging on doors?
I don't know. Create inventory.
You got it. You nailed it. So if I can go and find houses for sale for my clients that none of the other real estate agents or none of the other people have access to, how much better chance do you think I have of helping people find homes?
It's probably a little better than what we're doing.
Right. Because it's essentially off market. Right. So if we could find you a house that's off market, get you a better price on it, and be able to get you into what you needed to without getting into a crazy bidding war or having, nothing to look at, would you be interested in finding a home like that?
Yeah, we'd be interested. But I don't know if right now is a great time. I'd have to speak to the wife.
Okay. What do you think your wife would think? If we could find her that dream house, do you think she's ready to get out of the townhouse?
Yeah, for sure. She's probably more into it than I am.
What makes you say that?
I'm pretty cool with where we are, but she really wants to get out of here. So that's half the reason why I'm interested.
We'll say that again.
Yeah, she wants backyard and bigger bedroom, and we don't like having next door neighbors wall to wall.
Completely makes sense. What do you think the market's going to do? Do you think it's going to keep going up or down?
I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I've heard that it might crash, but I'm not really too familiar.
Okay. Now, when there's a very short supply of something, does that usually drive the prices up or down?
Normally right now it's probably going up, right?
Okay. The reason I asked that question, do you feel like they're going to be able to create more land here in your city?
No, definitely not.
So how will they get more opportunity to get more houses?
Well, they build them to an extent.
As long as you got land to build on, right?
Yeah, of course.
But once we start running out of that land, do the prices just continue to climb?
I'd assume so.
Yeah. So you take,
I'd assume, yeah.
New York City, go down to Manhattan, do prices drop there?
No,
they continue to climb because that's the only thing they can do, right? If there's supply and demand. And in most of these markets where we're struggling to find inventory, it's because of supply and demand. And it's not something where we're going to be able to construct a whole bunch of houses in the near future. So tell me this, if prices were continue to climb at 15% each year, could you afford to buy one in 5 years?
I have no idea. I mean, that seems like a lot.
Well, the average over the last 5 years, the average over the last 5 years has been 183% increase in equity in homes across the United States. So as you look at your townhome, are you aware of the appreciation scale and how it works?
Yeah, we've done pretty well in this home. We've been in it for the last 5 years, and 183%. Our home's more than doubled since we bought it. So I get a good idea from personal experience. But
no, that's phenomenal. Congrats on your growth. That's amazing. A lot of people have that kind of equity, and that's why a lot of people are looking to get into that next level, because condos appreciate the least. Then it goes to townhomes. Then it goes to single family homes. Then luxury single family homes. Then multifamily homes. Then commercial. So if you guys are wanting to jump into that next level of single family homes, it's going to appreciate a lot faster than a townhome is. So there begins to be a gap each year where you're not catching up with the single family homes at appreciation, and it ends up costing more and more and more. How important is it for you to get into a home over the next 5 years?
I'd say it's pretty important, but just curious, why would a single family home appreciate faster?
Just value. Let me just make it super simple. I'm going to use the 2% appreciation rate. If a $500,000 home appreciates at 200% or 2%, how much money is it going up every year?
Was that 10,000?
You nailed it. Good. $10,000.
Yeah.
Now a $300,000 home that appreciates at 2% every year, how much is it going up?
6,000.
Cool. So that's typically why it's a price point. And single family homes are a lot harder to come by than a townhome, because you can put 10 townhomes in a city block versus a single family home. There's only a few of them. So then you also get into the supply and demand issue.
Got it. That makes sense.
So that being said, would it be something your wife would put you in the doghouse if you guys couldn't get into a house in the next 5 years?
Yeah, we definitely do it. I know she would, and I'm up for it. I mean, at this point, how can we make that happen?
Well, it's just a matter of me knowing what you guys want to see. And I can get out there, I can find something. I do a lot of this. I got a full team that works for me, and we get out and create the inventory. That's something different. I sell over $30 million in real estate a year, and it's because we get out and out hustle the rest. So if we could find you something, are you available to look at houses tomorrow?
Not tomorrow, but this weekend.
Are you available this afternoon? Does your wife get home around 5:30 or 6 to where we could go out around 8, 9 o'clock tonight?
I'd have to talk to her first, but I might be able to make that work.
Okay. Well, let me shoot you over a couple of houses. I've got some in mind that haven't hit the market yet that I would love to get in front of you. And like I said, we want to move quick on those that come available. So let me work through that for you, and I'll get you some houses sent over right now. What's the best email address for you?
123@gmail.com.
Cool. All right, buddy. I'll be in touch later this afternoon, and I'm getting your phone number. I'm gathering the rest of your information as well. So tell me, Ethan, as we went through that whole thing, I'm now 9 minutes in, 9.5 minutes. How many questions did I ask you?
53.
Easy.
I don't know.
Easy.
A lot.
Right? So the whole thing, and notice how I took you from one step to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, all the way down through the process. And ours is kind of more robotic as we role play. But when you have a real client, you can interject different, personality types and different stuff like that. But tell me the difference between the pitches and why you have to walk them through the way we did.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
So the difference between your pitch and my pitch, and
Okay.
why you can get so much further when you know where you're taking the questions.
Because you're in control of the conversation.
Who did most of the talking?
I did.
Okay. And then how long in between questions did I have to think about what you were saying and how I was going to interact and respond?
Like more time than I did.
Right. So key factor, as you go through question-based selling, door-to-door sales, you've got to know how they're going to respond. I mean, that's the number one thing. Don't ask a question unless you know how they're going to respond. Because if they're going to respond with a yes or no question, guess what? You have to have another question ready. And if you don't, that's when you stumble and you fall, and then you don't know where to take the transaction next. So know where you're headed, know what direction you're going to take it, know how they're going to respond, and then have a quiver full of arrows, man. Have 50, 60 questions. And if you would have thrown me with another objection, I would have had more questions I could have asked you to come around and beat that objection to make sure it works. Right? So that being said, go back through and listen to this, Ethan, and see what questions you could ask, how you're going to ask them, get them memorized. There's a course that I teach for all you guys on YouTube called Question-Based Selling. And I go through all the nuts and bolts, scripts, go through a bunch of different questions that allow you to learn the art of question-based selling. It's going to be July 17th. You can find that on my website at www.reald2d.com and sign up for that, because honestly, this will help you a ton to get where you need to be in order to produce at high levels. So looks like Ethan ran out on us. He's coming back though, maybe. But I appreciate you guys being here with us today, and look forward to having you on the YouTube channel more, and have a great day.